Introducing, fighting out of San Antonio, Texas, a Muay Thai fighter weighing in at 146 pounds, Jake, the Last Hussar Rozek. Welcome, brother. How you living?
Thank you for having me. Good, man. Surviving, doing the damn thing.
All right, so Jake is on telling us about his pro career in Muay Thai, and basically one of the big things that I do want to talk about is just the community that you're growing in San Antonio and everything you've put into that. Because, yeah, so let's start off with your history with Muay Thai. When did you start your first Muay Thai class?
Yeah, so originally, I was in high school. Like, I've got a genetic eczema, so I get allergic to like fucking everything, pollen, anything outside. So I was, as a little kid, to doing any outdoor sports. So then I found Taekwondo, which is inside. So I started doing Taekwondo as like a sophomore in high school. And I was doing that for like 2.5, 3 years, just enough to get a black belt at kind of a McDojo. Mm-hmm. And I got really lucky that my instructor in Taekwondo, he was legit. He had some amateur kickboxing fights. So he would always tell us like, hey, I'm going to teach you this because this is the curriculum we have to learn for Taekwondo. But also we're going to do some like practical like sparring and application. So he was the first one to say is like Taekwondo is a great martial art, but it also has some, imbalances when it comes to actual like striking, fighting, like kickboxing, those kinds of rule sets. So like I was exposed to that. And then I discovered Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu around my like junior year of high school. So I started doing BJJ, and there I knew I wanted to like fight. In Taekwondo, I was only interested in sparring. I didn't want to do any of the katas or like the weapons training, any of that bullshit. And I was there to always spar. So with BJJ, then I discovered MMA. That was my my amateur career. So like my senior or my freshman year, once I entered into college, I started doing amateur MMA fighting. And then fast forward another like 5 years after that, I found Muay Thai, or it found me. And it was just love ever since. So when I went professional, it's only been Muay Thai and just Muay Thai ever since.
And what would you say was your calling to Muay Thai? Because obviously you have a very well-versed background in martial arts. So why did this particular one find you, as you said?
Yeah, I think it was just the perfect, like, I've always been a striker. I preferred standing. Even my jits game was always to scramble and just stand back up. I always wanted to I felt more comfortable standing than on the ground. My jits was always purely, defensive, not really like going on the offensive for submissions. So yeah, I don't know. It was just the perfect. I was like, this is such a dominant striking sport that I think it just kind of captured me that way.
Okay. And the Taekwondo makes sense to your style too, because you're really a march 'em down and pressure at all times type of fighter. So that actually checks out, knowing your history a little bit more too.
Yeah. I don't remember too much about my like Taekwondo, what my style was like. But definitely Muay Thai, like my forward pressure has always been exhibited in all of my fights. Even most recently in Thailand, I was always moving forward. So my trainers out there were complimentary about that. They're like, hey, you've got the forward pressure. Now we need to hone like, cutting the ring or certain other like technical aspects of the fight.
Yeah. So first of all, why did you go to Thailand? And then how long were you there?
So I start originally like going back to how I found Muay Thai, or had a of my in Spain. He was already a professional Muay Thai fighter at that time, and we met each other. I was working at a UFC gym at the time as a trainer, so we meet each other there. And he saw me like doing a lot of the functional fitness stuff, so he was like, "Let's trade. You show me that stuff, and I'll show you real Muay Thai." So that kind of like captivated me.
Yeah.
Went back to Spain, and he contacted me a couple of months later, and he was like, "Hey, my school is doing a like Thai style camp, a month-long camp. This is your chance. You can live with me here in Madrid, and you can train the real shit." So I quit my job. I had a little bit of a savings. I had just gotten out of a relationship. So I was like, let's go. I packed my bags and I left for Spain. I was there for 1 month, turned into, I think, about 3 or 4 in Madrid. And at that point, I had overstayed my visa. I totally didn't even think. I was like, oh, there's visas in Europe too, right? So I technically became an illegal immigrant in Europe, and I had birthright citizenship in Poland because my parents are Polish. I'm first generation born in this country. So I was able to go to Poland and apply do my visa or do my citizenship there. So while I was doing that, I was still training Muay Thai. I found a gym, and it was like crazy, man. I'm like back in the city my parents were born and raised in, Kielce, Poland. It's between like Warsaw and Krakow. I have a gym now. They're already setting me up for fights. They're like, you know, fighting Muay Thai. And then I had like a heart-to-heart moment with my parents. They called me and they're like, dude, we left that place for a reason. Like, what are you doing there? You know? So I had this kind of like come to Jesus moment where I was like, oh yeah, I should keep going. So then I went to Thailand the first time and I spent 2 months there. So it's kind of like a year-long like sabbatical of just chasing Muay Thai and training. Did the 2 months and then finally ended up coming back to the United States. I transitioned more into coaching at that point. So I coached for like a good, like 4 years until I started fighting again. Then I was like, I'm already, when I fought Muay Thai in Thailand, that's when I decided I was like, I'm going to take this as my pro card. So I took that little sabbatical break as well to coach, came back to fighting. And then now most recently this last year, got some money together and just went back to Thailand for 2 months.
Dude, there is so much we have to unpack from this whole story.
Oh, I know, yeah.
So let's run this back to Madrid. When you got there, what was like your living conditions? Because just like every city, there are great parts of Madrid and there are not so great parts of Madrid. So where were you? What was going on? Yeah.
So I was like in the city for sure.
Okay.
My buddy Nathan, he had a house over there, so I was able just to live with him. Okay. I was living like basically in like their attic. It was free. Basically, I kept offering like, let me throw you some cash for rent for the, at least the first time that I was there. He was like, no. As I started to kind of overstay, then I was like, okay, let me start sliding you cash. I had a savings built up at that point. So I think I left the US with like probably like $4 or $5 grand in my pocket, and I was just making it work out there, it was cool because I had plugs like everywhere I was going, so it wasn't crazy expensive,
Did you take any amateur fights while you were in Madrid?
No, I was like right on the cusp. They told me that you keep training a couple more months and then we'll talk about getting you some fights.
Okay.
But then at that point, the whole visa thing became a problem, so that's why I went to Poland afterwards.
All right. And then so in Poland, they're very known for a lot of Dutch kickboxing style as well, as long as being a Muay Thai powerhouse too. I don't know how many people don't know that Poland is a sleeper country full of savages, but there is. So where were you training over there, and what were you learning mostly?
Yeah, so in Poland, I'm back in my parents' hometown because, again, I have so much family there, so I was able to stay basically for free, not have to spend any money while I was waiting for my citizenship to get approved. So originally it was supposed to take like 2 months, but it ended up being 5 months that I was there, half a year. And I was training at a gym called Clinch in Kielce. And this was like right in this like golden era of Muay Thai development in the country, because since then, Poland has hosted the World Cup, and the World Cup has a Muay Thai scene as well. Mm-hmm. So Poland really has like developed their Muay Thai scene since then. Actually the Clinch coach, he's now got a fighter in one as well, like one Lumpini. And there's a couple other like pretty famous Polish fighters that are dominating the Muay Thai scene in Thailand as well.
Dude. So what would you say is the biggest differences in all the different styles? Because clearly you've traveled the world and seen it all at this point. So what would you say are some things that kind of stuck around with you from each style that was prominent?
So my Spanish experience was technicality. Like they are absolute technicians, but they also have a lot of like flashy techniques that they can exhibit. So, you have to learn the fundamentals, and then they do have like really cool, flashy stuff that they show off. So like in an hour there, you can learn a lot of technique. That's not just fundamental technique. Yeah. In Poland, now again, I can't speak for how it is now. It's how it was when I was there. Yeah. Poland was, it's a fucking doghouse. Like it is absolutely, people are getting knocked unconscious and sparring regularly. Jesus. It doesn't matter if it's your first day or you've been training a long time. You're in the shit. Every time you go to the gym, it's a fucking fight. I remember one sparring round that I had there in Poland where we were wearing headgear because the guy was getting ready for a fight. And dude, he fucking kicked my headgear right off of my head. And, my first thought is like, can I put the headgear back on? But I am getting pushed off the mat and this guy is trying to knock me unconscious. So that was like the pace of sparring in Eastern Europe.
Why do you think that is? Is that just kind of a culture thing, or what? Is it cold a lot? Are they grumpy human beings? What's
Yeah. You know, like Polish culture, I was trying to describe to people. It's like when you get on public transportation, the first thing a Polish person is going to do is like look at like mean mug you. You know, they're going to give you a kind of like, what's your business? Like if you lock eye contact with somebody, they're going to be like, what do you want? That's kind of their initial like entry socially. But if you break through that and you talk to them any longer, you're going to have a friend for life. So it's like, it's a cold barrier entry, but it's extremely warm once you get through that.
But it doesn't sound like that carries over into sparring though. You guys aren't playing. I mean,
no. It was always a fight in there for sure. There was no like taking it easy. But I mean, you see that in a lot of places, like a Brazilian shoot the box style. They do that. The Dutch are really well known for going really hard in their sparring as well. So I mean, they just make these absolute animals that are not afraid to get into the pocket, basically.
So, does this tie to the origin of your name? Because I was looking up Hussars, and first of all, they're badasses. I did not expect that. Mm-hmm. So, did it get assigned to you, or did you pick that one out? How did it come about?
No. Yeah, I picked that one out. I don't even remember how it came for me. I used to have a handle of like Viking Jake. That was my thing. It was more in the functional fitness realm because I do a lot of like steel mace, steel clubs, kettlebell shit. That's what I was doing for like my private training business aside from fighting. And I realized I was like, dude, Viking's not even like my heritage or anything, but my heritage Polish. So that's when I adopted the Hussar moniker. So I just took that on myself.
Nice. All right. Okay, so let's get into your amateur career then, because one thing that a lot of people don't know is like the amateur careers just kind of happen in like hotel conference centers, or maybe you're going to wind up in just like some parking lot where they put up the ring and that's where you guys are going to fight. So like walk us through your amateur career and some of your wildest stories from there.
Yeah, so my Amis was only MMA. I did some like Golden Gloves boxing, and then it was all smokers based. So like MMA smokers, kickboxing smokers, and then Muay Thai smokers at the end. Kind of like I kind of got lost for a minute. So I jumped into amateur mixed martial arts. I had a fight in like St. Joseph, Missouri, because that's just how we got networked with the gym that I was in. Mm-hmm. They had some friend out there, a promoter, who would put us on a card. So we flew over to St. Joseph, and like you're saying, we'd be in like a weird, like a Freemasons convention center with like low ceilings, but there's a cage in there. So you're fighting in a cage where like the clearance, you only have like a foot above the cage. It's like if you won, you couldn't even like jump on top of the cage to celebrate or anything. It's a very cramped like space. Yeah. But again, like approved by the state commission, so it goes on your record, all that kind of stuff. Then I had my second MMA fight was here in Austin. I don't even remember the name of the organization. It's not around anymore. Again, most of these organizations are defunct by now. So that one was more like legit. It was like at Emo's off of Riverside. That one felt like a real production show. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of like the MMA like perspective, The Golden Gloves, that happens regularly all over the nation. So I just participated in that. Yeah. And then smokers would be like in gyms or like, semi-organized kind of events like you were talking about.
Just whenever coach says who wants to fight, you just kind of raise your hand.
Yeah. Just try and find action wherever you can get it, Yeah. But like right now, it's better and more structured than it ever has been. Like I always laugh at, I poke at the amateurs. I'm like, you guys are fucking spoiled, dude. And I see amateurs that have like OnlyFans sponsorships or just fully like sponsored out the ass. And I'm like, man, that's so awesome. Like, good for you guys.
Yeah, dude, even the show that you guys put on at Ohana, that Thursday night fight night. I remember when I came in and did one of mine, and I was like, dude, most people don't get this. Like, this is cool just to have a bunch of homies hanging out and just cheering you on throughout the fight. So like, even what you guys are paying
that's
forward.
Really like that's a real attempt that, especially, Washington and I have such a good relationship. That's a real attempt at us trying to like create those experiences for everyone that's up and coming. I mean, whether you decide that you want to actually continue doing it or you just want to dip your wick a little bit and see what it's like to get in a real fight. Mm-hmm. It's just trying to create that kind of experience,
Yeah, so how did you and Washington link up then? Because you guys are quite the dynamic duo at this point.
Yeah, so I mean, man, I don't even know how many years it's been now. It has to be like close to like 6 or 7. I came to an Ohana sparring one time. I don't remember how I got invited to it. I had just gotten back pretty recently. I was settling into like coaching and creating like private client, repertoire. And he just, so him and I spar. He beats the ever living fuck out of me. And then he messages me later and he was like, "Hey, I liked your style. You were like very traditional Muay Thai. Like I could use you because I have a fight coming up." So then I just started going out to his gym, holding some pads for him, just kind of like, coaching him up a little bit. And that was like that perfect, like, it doesn't matter your experience or your age or anything. You're always willing to become the student again. So he just fully was like, "Hey, take the reins on my camp. Like, what should I do? How should I be approaching this situation?" We just melded like instantly, coming up with like different fight strategies for his opponent. And then it's funny because like strategies that we had developed in our first camp ended up coming back like 5 years later for a different opponent.
So so what you're saying is everything you developed initially was starting to come back full circle in what you needed around again?
Oh yeah, it comes out anytime. Just we were doing rounds last Wednesday, so I'm on the other side. I'm coach because we take turns, right? If I have a fight, he's coaching me. If he has a fight, we're just like we take turns who's coaching who, and then sometimes we end up fighting. So it's like I'll fight, I'll throw off my wraps, and then I'm in his corner coaching him like right after that. But just on this last Wednesday, for example, I'm coaching him in an MMA round. And I'm yelling, beija flor, hummingbird in Portuguese. Okay. And so that immediately, he knows what that means. That's like, okay, I need to start moving this kind of away and it's going to work against this opponent.
Dude, that's awesome. And so how many cards have you and Washington fought on together? I think every card I've seen Washington fight on, you were on, doing exactly like you said. Fighting 2 bouts, maybe beforehand. Sometimes the bout before, and then you just kind of like, "Hey, guy, put some Vaseline on there. I'll be all right." And then you walk over.
I'm like out there limping. Oh man, I mean, it's been at least like 4 or 5. Honestly, it's been a lot.
Yeah. So how was fighting with Lion Fight? Because you guys seem to have a ton of fun over there.
So that's one I actually haven't talked about publicly yet, but I can now. Because it did become like a legal action and everything. Wow. I fought for them 2 times. The first time was in Boston. That's one where Washington and I were fighting back to back. He won the North American Championship actually on that day. But that one was good. Everything went fine. Nobody got shafted or anything. And then I fought for them not last October, but the October before, or November, not last November, November before in Vegas. And that one was an absolute shit show. None of the fighters got paid. I mean, it was very scammy, sketchy behavior. And people had told me ahead of time, they're like, "Watch out for Lion Fight because they'll fuck the fighters over." And sure enough, like all of us got fucked. So Lion Fight's kind of standing, they've capitulated since. But all I know is I'm still getting a check every month, from Scott Zur, the head of it. Or sorry, Scott Kent, the head of Lion Fight. Because he didn't pay any of us. So we all ended up actually having to go to the police and doing a full investigation and then getting him to have to pay all of us legally.
Dude, that's wild. So what were like some of the red flags that you kind of knew? Because you said it was sketchy. So what was something that started to send off your spidey sense?
The first one was like I got in an absolute war with Andrew Webb. I think his name's Andrew Webb, with Flossie. He's an absolute animal. Get in a badass 5-round Muay Thai fight. He cuts the shit out of me. I've got like multiple lacerations. My eyebrows open. My nose is busted up. I'm all fucked up. So I'm getting out of the ring, fully expecting to get stitched up in the back. And whoever the health professional is, they said something like, "Oh, they didn't pay us to stitch you guys." So then we were like, "What? What does that mean?" So so what's next then? And he was like, "No, you just need to take an ambulance ride to the hospital, and then you'll be taken care of." Huge red flag. If they're telling you to get into an ambulance, that's already money. Somebody's got to pay for that, right? So you're going to have to depend on their insurance. And then I'm in the hospital, and I'm waiting hours and hours and hours, and I'm being seen by this like high-level technical doctor who gives me some of the best stitches I've ever had in my life. But the whole time I'm thinking, I'm like, this is money. Yeah. So that was a huge red flag right there.
Okay. So if you're a young fighter, what's something that you would pitch forward so that people don't go through this same trouble that you went through? What would you say? Hey, keep your eyes out because we don't.
Yeah,
Yes.
like look at the details, right? Because a promotion is gonna kind of smoke and mirrors you. Maybe you just got like a fight kit, you get to keep your gloves, you get to keep your shin guards and everything. That's awesome, but also pay attention to the medical details. Like, do they have you kind of have to pay attention to the laws as well, because every state commission has different kinds of regulations based on a fight event.
Okay, yeah.
You just want to pay attention. The biggest thing is the organization is going to give you their insurance information, and they'll tell you that you have to file a claim after the fight. That's extremely important. You have a window of time that you have to do that. If you don't do it, you're going to be hit with a medical bill. You need to make sure that you follow those guidelines with the insurance, which again is just being on the phone. I know it's a hassle, but just do it so that you're not stuck with the bill at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Because then you're going to start getting, people calling you and shaking you down for cash. So follow those guidelines, because even if, say, the organization or whatever falls apart, if you did your part with insurance, you should not be liable for it.
That's fair. You're fighting on somebody else's behalf. So ask for that insurance information up front for every fighter paying it forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, then how was things with Texas Muay Thai? Because you did several bouts with them, and those, first of all, being in person for those were wild. And let's talk about your walkout music, because when Jake's walking out, because it's going to become a party within all of 0.7 seconds.
Yeah. I like to bring the party for sure.
Dude, you go in there with the most energetic attitude.
Yeah, man. I think I get it from my dad. My dad, he had a little side gig of being like a cabaret announcer. Apparently, he tells me that from his youth. So I definitely get a mentality going on. I want people to have a good time. I'm a people pleaser. So it just starts with the music. It starts with the vibe. It's like win or lose, we're here to have a good time.
Yeah, and you're definitely a crowd pleaser fighting too. You're going to throw elbows, knees. You're going to make it a violent fight. You're not going to sit on the outside and tag them up and wait for something to happen. You are marching people down, which is so fun. And talk about the Andrew Riviera fight, because I think that if anybody wants to watch the encompassment of your fighting, that proves it to a T. Even to the point, there were several times when I think your guys' clenches went on for close to 30 seconds because you're just whacking him the whole time, which is rare.
Yeah, that fight was a real, things came together, plugged together, and it was described to me by Mark Hyena, actually, who's a huge name in the Texas Muay Thai scene, Muay Thai in general in North America. He pulled me over and he said, you got comfortable in the ring that fight. That was your breakthrough moment. And sure enough, I didn't have the long, huge amateur career of Muay Thai before. I started Muay Thai professionally, right? That's where I've been cutting my teeth for the first few fights. So that one was the first, everything just kind of came together and I was able to express myself to the ultimate degree, in that scrap. So it was fun. It was good. And then I was only able to build on that on the last trip to Thailand, circling back to just good promotion, good people involved in fight sports. Dominion Fighting Alliance was a great experience. Texas Muay Thai Championships is massive. Jonathan Harris is just an absolute awesome promoter, somebody that's involved in the fight scene, along with Bobby Peak, who does the matchmaking. These are guys that are always in the fighter's corner first. They're looking out for the fighter's interest, because the fighters are the ones that get shafted when, insurance doesn't work and all that kind of stuff. So they have all of that in mind. They take their fighters first instead of everybody else,
So what's some things that they do that make it more fighter friendly, I would say then?
Oh man, you're showing up to the hotel and your name's already on the list and they've got a room for you, no questions asked, just on, maybe a credit card or whatever for incidentals, and you're taken care of. And there's no lapse in that, there's no oh, you're not on the list or whatever, no problem. That's already taken care of. When you're showing up to wins and you're all dehydrated and fucked up, they get you on the scale as quickly as possible and you can start rehydrating before all the photos and stuff. Those little details are massive for the fighters.
And I can see where they go a long way, especially just reducing the hassle from everyday life. Yeah. Because like you were saying, just with the insurance, everyone knows the second you get insurance on the phone, it's going to be a half hour.
I'm out here to the US. He could do seminars, show them that you could make money off of Muay Thai. And then on the second trip that he came, then I was able to be like, hey man, here's the downtown program. Here's all the, my private clients. Like, it's yours now. Take it, go train and fight. So did that. And I mean, it was epic out there, man. Just got to link back with some friends that I had made the first time.
Yeah.
At that, Jean and I had met at a Santai Muay Thai, was the original Muay Thai gym. And now Manasak had split off and he started his own program, Manasak Muay Thai, with Lisa. So it was just, I mean, instant, like, cool, great to see you guys again. Let's get to training, So it was just an absolute, like, dream come true. Like, you just think, like, Thailand is like, it's the kingdom, man. It is the place where it's like, if you can dream it, you can manifest it over there. It's a direct one-to-one, like, put the work in and you can make it happen. So I originally was scheduled for another fight back in the United States. I had a little knee injury going out there. So I had to pull out of that. And I was like, I'm just going to put all my time into the 2 months here, time and energy into it. So then I saw that Tex fight is an option. They do these belts. Like, you have to kind of win a few times and then you can get considered to fight for the championship. So I was like, all right, that's what I want to do. So it wasn't not difficult because the third week that I was there, I contracted like a really intense bacterial skin infection that almost completely like ended my trip. So I caught this infection. It was misdiagnosed. It looked like it was a viral infection initially. So I was on the wrong medication for 48 hours. So I was just starting to crash, man. I had these boils spreading all over my face, my neck, my back, like all over the place. Got on some good antibiotics after going to the hospital, was able to recover in a week. And then I was back. So I put in another hard week of training. They said, okay, you can start fighting now. Yeah. And that's when we just started rolling with it. So fight, win, 4 fights in 17 days. And on that last one, I was able to fight for the championship and win it.
Dude, that's freaking awesome. So what would you say are the biggest differences between fighting? Normally in America, we generally fight what? I'd say 3 to 4 months between each of them, maybe sometimes longer. But how's fighting every week? Is that, would you say, a big benefit, or do you feel beat up at the end of it?
Right. So the damage is like cumulative over the time. So like you might have had something happen in the first fight that you don't even realize that it starts coming up maybe in the third fight where it's like, oh, fuck, like my shin's damaged or I have this like elbow pain or whatever, But because you're fighting so often, you're just learning to, okay, I can't throw my left kicks. I'm not able to use it. I have to change my strategy. Or I can't check anymore because my shin is so damaged. I've only got 2 or 3 good checks in me, and now I have to catch the kick. I have to find some sort of alternative. So, I mean, it's just maximum XP, man. It's like 4 times. It's a multiplier for your experience out there.
And well, that makes sense in how much faster pace I'd say the Thai fights are, because they want to get in and out. I'd say you see either an absolute war or it's a first or second round knockout and a clean, fancy one. So talk me through your fights.
Now also what's happening there, though, is that a lot of the Thai, you're making a good amount of money. Like, so the average Thai, I think, is making like 400 or 600 baht. Now the trend, it's 34 baht is $1. So that's like their average like daily salary. Off of one Thai fight, you could be making like 1,200 baht. So it's a good payday.
Yeah.
So much as they can. So they might be fighting 2-3 times a week sometimes to maximize their income. So what'll happen is, like, if they're getting pressured or they're getting put in a really bad spot, they know that they have another fight coming out. Like, they might take the fall in order just to collect that check because they know they're going to be fighting again later.
Wow. So
you do, you see a lot of falls out there for sure.
So do they get win and show money, or do they just get show money?
That I'm not too clear about. I don't know what the Thai are making. Like, I wasn't able to see all the changes. I just know, like, from my perspective, like, I was making like 2,500 baht a fight for the 5-rounders. The 3-rounders, I think, was an even 2,000. And then they gave you like 3-5 for the championship fight.
Interesting. Dang. So, wow, that's interesting to think about. I wouldn't think of guys just falling because they know they got fights coming up and they got to preserve themselves.
Oh, yeah.
It seemed,
Oh, yeah. They'll come up to you before the fight and they'll negotiate like, hey, nice to meet you. We're about to fight. Like, are you okay not doing elbows? Because they don't want to get the cut because they know they've got fights coming up.
Interesting.
So then you'll be like, okay, like, let's not do elbows because of the probability of, like injury and everything.
Did that ever happen to you?
Because yeah. It's negotiated with me in my fights not to do elbows for sure. Which again, like then that creates the whole like, well, then you're not even doing Muay Thai and like, let the haters like hate, right?
Whatever.
But people got to make money, man. That's the nature of it, right? This is tourist stadium level, and there's all kinds of different levels in Muay Thai when it comes to Thailand. So Thailand has such a massive scene that you can rock the tourist. Like if you're a high level professional, and maybe you've been losing a bunch of fights in like Omnoy Stadium or Raj or something, you can come back, you can go to a tourist stadium circuit and just kind of cut your teeth, get your timing back, or work on the things that you need to work on. So you have all these different levels that you can utilize.
So they really have a full development scene. And also,
Absolutely.
Talk to me about the tourist stadiums, because that sounds interesting. Like, is it just for the white dudes that come in and...
No, so tourist stadium refers to the crowd. The crowd is just purely tourists who are transiently like in the city.
Yeah.
Just like Chiang Mai, for example, tourist stadium means like Taipei Stadium, Kalare, like there's so many different stadiums, but the crowd is just people that are visiting. They want the Thai experience, so they want to go see a Muay Thai fight.
Yeah.
Everywhere you go, there's like tourist agents that are trying to grab you and be like, come see Thai fights, live Thai fights.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of like the level. Now, with the person that you're fighting, you never know. It could be like a kid just trying to make a buck. It could be like a former stadium champion. You never know what you're gonna encounter, basically.
I totally thought you meant just like a tourist stadium for all the people that just came in and are like, I want to go fight Thai. And they're like, yes.
Yeah.
Thumbs up.
Yeah, common misconception, right? Yeah. It's like tourist stadium is just the level that you're fighting in.
Okay.
But again, it's like, you never know. You never know what you're going to be dealing with, like who's going to be in front of you. So for example, like my first fight I had out there was a kid, and it's a bummer, like he had to die, right? So I just murder him with knees. We get to move on, like finish the fight. We're friends afterwards. Everything's cool. And my crew Manasak, because my whole idea was like, I only have so much time left. I need to fight as often as possible.
Yeah.
I finished that first fight. I come to the gym the next day and I'm like, Manasak, I'm ready to keep going whenever you want me to fight again. And he's like, okay, good. You fight on Thursday. Now this guy's not going to sleep easy, which like he already knows who I'm going to fight. And it's going to be a bigger challenge. And sure enough, the guy's name is Surachai. I ended up fighting him 2 times. I fought him that time and then for the again. And that's a one tough motherfucker, man. Nothing but shout out Surachai.
So what about those fighting him back to back then? Would you say was your strategy coming in the first time? Did you stick with it or did you change it the second time?
So the first time I fought him, a lot of my friends that I was training with, some of them had fought him before. They were the ones that said, like, when they saw the fight card, they saw that he was on it, the poster. They were like, oh, man, whoever fights Surachai is going to have a good fight. And I already knew it in the back of my head. I was like, oh, fuck, that's going to have to be me. Sure enough, I show up to the fights. I'm paired up with Surachai. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, we know we're going to have a battle. And it was explained to me, like, Surachai is, he's technical. And he will like play the game with you. So it's going to be a 5-rounder. If you want to do a 2-rounder feel out, he'll play that game with you. If you just want to start banging from the beginning, like he'll bang with you. Literally, I didn't know it at the time, but I had seen him fight one of my other friends, and he had turned my friend into a folding chair. He had caught him with a hand when my buddy was throwing a kick. He had his hand down when he was kicking. And just standing KO, like completely out. So, it ended up being a very good technical battle. I was able to out-technique him, outscore him. I thought I won all 5 rounds. When I found out I was going to fight him again for the belt, in my mind, I was like, it's unfair. I want to finish him. So I wanted to knock him out, or I wanted to finish him with leg kicks. That was my mental conception of what was going to happen. And sure enough, first round of the championship fight, I catch his kick. And I just lay a 2 on him that absolutely flatlines him. I mean, he goes completely out on his. He's laying down. I take my time getting to the corner because I thought it was done. By the time I look back, he's stumbling back to his feet. And so he's doing one of these as the ref is like on 8. And in Thailand, they don't give a fuck about that shit. So they'll let you go until you die. So he's doing one of these like side to side. the ref says keep going, and I was like, okay, this is my chance. Let's finish it. I get close on the inside. I hit him with a close 2. He flatlines again. So at that point, I was like, I need to rush back to the corner just in case. I'm not even back. When I turn around, he's already up and he's back at this point. So, I mean, I was fighting a zombie, man, an absolute zombie.
Did you just see the whites of his eyes at that point, or was he so glossed over that you knew it was time to finish it, or was it like Tyson coming back just ready to kill you?
I saw the whites of his eyes both times that I dropped him. And I looked back at him, his eyes were back in normal. And after the second KO, he was like completely normal when he got up. Again, like an absolute zombie. And they cut when I was about to start pressuring him to try and finish him, because again, like they'll save the tie. Mm-hmm. So cut the round early. My crew Manasak was telling me, he's like, calm down, don't invest too much in trying to get the KO at this point. Go back to trying to like out technique him. And I only built, man, like he only got better every single round. And I would say he definitely won the 5th round, like coming back. Like it was crazy. I fought a real zombie.
How is that scary seeing him come back up, or are you starting to second guess yourself? How does that feel mentally?
No, for me, it's exciting. It's like, oh shit, like we're ready to die for this. Let's fucking do it.
Okay. Dude, that sounds like quite the, I don't know how I feel about that. If I rolled him back twice and then he keeps coming, I'd just be looking at my corner like, I don't even know what to do, guys.
I get how it could be like deflating and everything, but in my perspective, it's like, that's exactly what we're here to do. Yeah. You know? Like, I don't know. I just felt like it was right for whatever reason. The first time that I fought him, I was winning. But every time I was in the corner in between rounds, I have every cell in my body screaming at me like, why are you doing this? Like, this shit is so stupid, you know? So it's like, it's just different every single time that you do it. And then fighting the same guy twice, you know, that's like a whole other kind of like weird psychological thing that you go through. Again, that's one of the reasons that Thailand is so amazing. You can have all of these experiences in such a finite, short amount of time.
And so what were some of the other experiences? Because I saw you running around with the water gun, absolutely shooting everybody in the neighborhood. So what was that all about?
Yeah, so that's the Thai New Year. It's called Songkran.
Okay.
And I mean, it was perfect timing, man. It was the last week that I was going to be there of the 2 months. My wife also flew out. So and another buddy, my friend Robert. So they're there and we all got to enjoy just Thai New Year together. And it's a water festival. The idea is that you shoot each other with water, you throw buckets of water on each other, and you're kind of washing away everything. It's a blessing, and you're starting the new year fresh. And it is nothing but a party, man. All businesses basically shut down. Everybody congregates into the center of the big cities. So we were in Chiang Mai up north. Mm-hmm. So everybody's coming in from the outside towns and just having a badass party.
Dude, that sounds awesome.
And it's epic. I recommend it to anybody, man. Go to Thailand for Songkran. It is epic.
And that sounds very on brand with their culture too. Like doing the Y crew and clearing the ring before spirits of bad spirits beforehand. So how did you develop your Y crew then? Where did it come from and kind of what personality do you put into it? Because that's when I see you really come alive before the fight. Once you start doing your Y crew and clearing the ring, that's when I feel you can palpable feel the energy coming into you.
Yeah, so I mean, it's definitely a lot of. I mean, my understanding is that it stems from Buddhism, and there like a lot of things, you know, sacred numbers in Buddhism, like 3, 5, 9. So when you first enter the ring, you're going to seal the ring. You got to do it counterclockwise. When you're touching your corners, you do everything in 3s. When you approach your white crew, Ramwai, your dance, a lot of the movements 3s repetitively. So again, that's like, I believe that that's like Buddhism related, adjacent at least, but also it's just kind of a spiritual, like you're just clearing the air, you know, get any negativity, any bad, whatever you believe in, just negativity, bad spirits, whatever, you're sealing the space, you know, fucking Mortal Kombat with another human and you don't want any other kind of like influences involved in it, you know. My white crew, I learned from Crouton at Santai Muay Thai. He taught me a basic, beautiful, fundamental one. That's the ground element of mine. And then over time, I just added some of the arrows that I shoot. When I felt like I only wanted to do the ground part because everything was pretty quick as well as like fast action out there.
Yeah.
So I really only did the ground portion of it, the one that I learned from Crouton. And so I just play with it. Like if I want to make it longer, I'll add directions to it. If I want to make it shorter, I'll maybe condense it, only do 2 directions of that, and then kind of work my way back to the corner and start the fight.
And so what's going through your head at that time? Are you just focused on doing what you're supposed to do, as in clear the ring of the spirits, and it's helping you get focused?
For me, it dials in my focus because it makes me do something hyper specific. Like you're literally dancing in the ring. So it's like you have to focus on doing that. So it clears away all that, like all the fear or all the anxiety or maybe all the excitement that you have. Like, I just want to knock this motherfucker out. It clears all of that out. And it's like, hold on, I have to, okay, do my 3. I need to pay respect. I need to change directions. And it just kind of centers you and puts you in the moment, you know? And for me, just fighting in general, it's all about being in the moment.
Yeah.
That's been the best thing for me. I try not to dwell on any other emotion or feeling. I try and smell the Thai liniment oil, hear the crowd, feel the energy, and just try and be as aware and in the moment as possible. So for me, the Y Crew helps me do that. It just centers me and puts me in that place.
There's some real sports psychology to that. Let me ask you this. Do you practice it at home beforehand, or do you just kind of let it come in the moment?
I used to practice it before. And now, I mean, when you get reps like you do in Thailand, it's just, I don't even have to worry about it. I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Now, interesting thing about Y Crew Run Y is that when you had element, when you have bettors involved, which is what really developed the sport and blew it up and made the striker so good, those bettors are watching your Y Crew and they're already getting downloads on your balance. Do you have injuries? Like, are you wonky on one side compared to another side? So you would see betting odds shifting when the fighters are doing their Y Crew Run Y.
That's wild. And you're just watching them, what, like on your phone, or are they running around the top of the ring?
Yeah, the bettors?
Yeah.
Yeah, so usually, traditionally, the bettors would have their own section like of the stadium where they're in. And then they're running like active, there's betting odds happening that change and shift. And they have hand signs depending on like what hand you're using and what fingers you're holding up. Are you betting on blue corner or red corner? What are the odds? And then like the over-unders, they'll run all of that. And then they hold it all in their head. So they have multiple bets happening simultaneously.
This sounds like they've been doing this for a while. This isn't their first rodeo.
Yeah.
I don't know if many people use it hand signs to place bets. At least I've never seen it. That's wild.
Yeah. And so it's been made, it's like illegal in Thailand, but like anything else, like there's always a way. So like, especially with, at the gym, you'd have like the new young kids, the 14, 15-year-olds that are just starting their careers. So they'll go off for a fight and they're on like a military base and it's just saturated with these guys who are throwing around like serious Thai bot who are making these big money bets on them, It's crazy, man. It's still alive. It's happening out there.
Did you see any of the kid fights while you were out there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I saw a few of the kids. You'll see a lot more of them like at the festival fights and stuff. Tourist circuit, very like, it looks vanilla, like, all right, everyone is a consenting adult, all that kind of stuff. But if you kind of, go out into the fringes, you'll start seeing all those kinds of fights.
And how was seeing that? Because I've seen it on Instagram and everything, and part of me is like, you know what, this is actually pretty cool because I know they can't hit each other hard enough to actually do any damage. But then the other part of me is like, they're also 5.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's so woven into the culture that you got to realize, like, you have to kind of reanalyze yourself when you're there and you're starting to feel weird things. You got to kind of ask yourself, like, why am I feeling these things? And then usually it's just because we're bringing our own like Western ideology into it, where it's like, dude, this has been going on for a long time. This is the way they do it here. Like, you're not going to change that,
No. And part of seeing it is just being cool in of itself, right? Because you see how woven this warrior culture is put into them. And how do you think that expresses itself in just like everyday life out there?
Well, everyday life is like actually pretty chill. Yeah. Like the Thai are so friendly, so fun. They're just having a good time. You have this whole like idea of it's like third world country, all that kind of shit, where it's like, yes, like objectively by Western standards, a lot of people are poor, but I can guarantee you, like, they're enjoying their life, you know? For me, for example, like the culture shock isn't going there. The culture shock is always when I come back here. Like the first time to HEB, a grocery store here in Texas, I'm culture shocked because everybody looks so miserable. Everyone's like bumbling through the store. They look all down. And it's like, I get it. You're going to spend money to buy your food and, you know, all this stuff. But it's like, you look like you're not having a good time while you're doing it. While out there, everyone's in the market. Everyone's having fun, laughing, shooting the shit. So it's like, with what they have, you know?
That is totally a thing, and I completely concur with that. Is the culture shock is definitely coming back, because when you're there, you just kind of get sucked into it and you're just part of it, because you know nothing you're going to do is affecting anything that's here, so just observe it and kind of amoeba yourself into it, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then like, at least my experience is like, I feel it amoebaing back with me, and then changing the way that I feel and the way that I do things. Okay. Me, like people genuinely say that I'm a pretty chill guy. Like I'm not like very like high stress. I'm very easygoing. Come as you are, you know, go as you go, that kind of thing. But in Thailand, especially at the beginning, I'm high strung because like my mind is constantly racing on to the next, on to the next. What's the next task I have to do? How do I have to do it? You know, how do I accomplish this next thing? Over there, they're like, sabai, like just chill the fuck out. Everything will happen. Everything will happen the way it's supposed to happen. Yeah. So then I could feel that like percolating into my soul. So then when I come back, I'm like, I can take those lessons because I quickly feel that coming back to me. It's like, I have to pay for this. I had a tree fall in my backyard. How do I, manage that? And instead of like boiling over it, I kind of release better. And I'm like, okay, the tree fell. How am I going to pay for it? Okay, I need to do this in order to pay for it. I don't stress on it as much as I used to.
Dude, that's something that everybody needs to learn to just use sabai. I like that. Sabai.
Yeah. Sabai.
And knowing you, I feel like you got that almost on a daily basis for the first week.
Yeah, for sure. Because man, I mean, just me in general, it's like, I want to explore. I want to do this. I want to do that. Where it's like, hold on, dude, chill the fuck out. All of that will happen when it happens. Yeah. You'll find it.
So let's bring it back to San Antonio. Let's talk about the community that you're growing, because, dude, the amount of shit that I see you guys doing, you're coaching at 2 or 3 different places. You've got your garage fights every Saturday, which are incredible. And then along with that, you guys are also doing stuff in malls. So what drives you to grow this community, and what are some of the biggest impacts you think you've had thus far?
Yeah, to Washington, and like Washington is right on that cusp of potentially retiring, so he's refining himself like in a perspective of promoter and creator of like these kinds of events and everything. I'm still at least like in fighting right now. I'm still trying to fight as much as I can, so we kind of have this like collaborative like effect going on. But the biggest thing is just creating community, right? Like sharing the culture of Muay Thai with as many people as possible and just showing them how cool it is. So when it comes to like public events and all that stuff, it's just trying to stack up as many of them as possible and just showing people that it's like, hey, this is a thing and you should probably try it because it's super fun. So that's kind of been like the nature of it. So with my own personal business, for example, like, I the way I keep the lights on in the house is garage training, right? Privates out of the garage. A lot of people want to fine tune their skills, so I can help them with that. I also do a lot of functional fitness and like weights, so just weight loss, all that kind of stuff. And then on the other side, I've also got the Speakeasy Muay Thai, which is my program at House of Jiu-Jitsu downtown. And that one is completely donation based. So it's like as much as I can give back as possible. All I ask is like, if you got some cheddar, throw it into the pot so we can keep this thing going. That's the idea behind Speakeasy. So it's like, if you have it, give it back and give it back for free. Kind of a hippie idea, but hey, fuck it, right?
Dude, that's so cool though. That's a good way to get everybody's foot in the door though. Just a simple non-committal show up. We got gloves. Don't worry, nobody's gonna hit you that hard. We'll have a great time, and you'll come back, and maybe you give us $10, maybe you don't. But dude, that is probably the best way to open the door to so many people to learn Muay Thai.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, I mean, it's like you got to try different aspects, right? Because like, yes, okay, it's a big jump just to go to a place and start training, and then you have to pay a monthly tuition or whatever. I get it. That's just the nature of the beast. And we're so lucky with House of Jiu-Jitsu and my boss Jacob. Like he's totally cool with it. He's like, fuck it, run a speakeasy Muay Thai gym. Like just try it. If you can put money in my pocket, that's the win, right? If everybody gets paid, everybody's winning.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm working on and just trying to create, but also doing it without stress, man. Because again, here, like we stress so hard all the time. So why not that we can go to and just completely release our stress?
Dude, it sounds like such a welcoming environment though, too, because you think about it, sometimes guys that are paying for those gym memberships, they want their good rounds while they're in there. So it may be somebody's first night and you just not have the right mindset. And these poor guys are getting beat up and shut out the door before they even get to the fun part of Muay Thai of being able to do the cool shit, right? Like,
yeah, and that's also why the way that I run the program is completely all levels. So like if you're advanced, you're going to get yours. Don't worry about it. If it's your first day, you're also going to get yours. Don't worry about it. It's like the difference between the two.
Yeah, because I would say Muay Thai is probably one of the roughest sports to start, just because a lot of people aren't used to the movements and a lot of people aren't getting used to being hit repetitively. So at least for the first 2 weeks, your body's bruised and battered and you have to fight yourself.
Yes. Yeah. And you are going to have to temper your body when you start. That's just the nature of it. You're going to get blisters on the bottom of your feet. You're going to get bruises in places you never had before, but that's just a part of it. Right. The other thing though, too, is that Muay Thai is actually one of the most easily accessible striking arts because we're square. We are as straight on as possible. So in terms of learning, it's very easy. Everything's on straight lines. Your hips are squared up. Your shoulders are squared up. Everything is way easier than, say, working like weird spinning stuff, all those different kinds of angles, laying down and trying to strangle each other. It's just barrier entry for anything. I recommend Muay Thai just from a striking perspective because it is easier to learn if you've never done anything.
And it also, I would say, out of most of the martial arts, has the greatest opportunity for anybody to excel. Because of the almost a lack of rule set, you can build your style to work in any way, shape, or form. You're a small guy that can kick big, stay on the outside. Easy, super. If you're a big guy that doesn't have great footwork, guess what? Grab on and learn how to clench people up. It's one of the most diverse for anybody to excel at just because of, I would say, the lack of rule set.
Yeah. Yeah, I really think it's a great entry level martial art, or even if you're coming from something else. I always personally, from a coaching perspective, I love having a blank canvas, someone that hasn't done anything before, and be like, hey, check out Muay Thai, like throw a dog a bone, compared to like deep into Taekwondo or like a black belt Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or something, like, because they already have so many like literal neural pathways of movement into them, and it's a little bit more difficult to like retrain those.
You have to almost break their habits to build their habits, and most people don't like doing that because that's what got them where they go. So I get that.
Yeah, and like Muay Thai especially is like, I get how intimidating it is as well. Especially the shirts start coming off, the tattoos are coming out, people yeah, they're yelling as they're taking everything. So it's like super intimidating. But really, I mean, it's like one of the best communities. We don't have any ego in community. Everyone who's like knows that it's in any given Sunday situation. Like there's secrets, right? Nobody has secret techniques compared to other people. Like everyone's on the same way. It's just as long as you train, then you know that your training is as good as it's going to get. And you just hope your timing is better, basically.
Yeah. And oh, man. So with that, is there anything else you want to leave the people with? Dude, this was awesome, and I would totally love to have you on again after your next fight and just hear how you murdered somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to come back anytime. I would just say train more Muay. I try my life around it, respect it, and also try and slay everybody can to train Muay Thai. I'll get you in with weights, and then I'll get you to train Muay Thai at the end of the day. I feel like it's like the best thing that's ever happened in my life, getting married and finding my wife. But I recommend it for everyone. It makes you chiller. It makes you have a better time in life.
And nothing makes your ego feel better after the day when you're kicking some Thai pads and it just sounds like gunshots inside a small room. Oh, well, thank you, brother, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you. Thank you, bro. Appreciate you.